Gallery Experience. How to display art. Episode 9, The Entrance. What does the viewer see first? Imagine walking into a gallery for the first time. You open the door. You take a few steps inside. And before you have time to think about anything, your eyes go somewhere. Maybe you see a huge painting. Maybe you see a bright red canvas. Maybe you see a beautiful portrait. Maybe you see a wall filled with small paintings. Or perhaps you see nothing particularly interesting. And that first moment matters. Because the entrance is the beginning of the exhibition. It is almost like the first sentence of a story. Before the visitor understands what the exhibition is about, the entrance has already created an impression. This is why one of the most important questions when displaying art is: what does the viewer see first? Artists sometimes think about every wall separately. They decide where each painting should go. But visitors don't experience the exhibition one wall at a time. They experience it as a journey. The first thing they see influences what they expect to see next. Imagine entering an exhibition and immediately seeing a wall completely covered with paintings. You haven't even taken off your coat. There are 10 different subjects. Many different colors. Different sizes. Different styles. Your brain has to process everything at once. Now imagine entering another exhibition. There is one beautiful painting visible from the entrance. It has space around it. The room feels calm. You naturally walk toward it. You look. Then you notice another painting beyond it. And another. The exhibition is quietly inviting you forward. The difference is not necessarily the quality of the artwork. It is the arrangement. The entrance creates the first impression. This is similar to meeting someone for the first time. Before you know anything about the person, you already have an impression. You may later discover that your first impression was wrong. But it still happened. An exhibition works in a similar way. The entrance tells the visitor something about the world they are about to enter. Is this exhibition quiet? Dramatic? Playful? Serious? Emotional? Contemporary? Traditional? Experimental? The first artwork can begin communicating all of that. This doesn't mean the most expensive or famous painting must always be placed at the entrance. In fact, that isn't necessarily the best choice. The entrance should invite the viewer. It should create curiosity. A painting that is too complicated may not be the best introduction. A painting that is too aggressive may overwhelm the visitor. A painting that is too quiet may disappear. The ideal first artwork depends on the exhibition. Think about it as an opening sentence. You don't necessarily want to tell the entire story in the first sentence. You want people to want to read the next one. The same thing can happen with art. The first painting should make the viewer curious about what comes next. There is another important consideration. What can the visitor see beyond the first painting? This is where visual depth becomes important. Imagine standing at the entrance and seeing a large painting directly in front of you. Behind it, you can see another room. And in that room, another interesting artwork. Your eyes move from one to the next. You are already curious. You want to continue. The exhibition is pulling you forward. This is much more effective than creating a visual dead end. A wall completely blocking your view may sometimes be appropriate. But if every entrance leads immediately into a wall, the visitor may feel that the exhibition is closed rather than inviting. The layout should create movement. Sometimes the movement is physical. Sometimes it is visual. The eye moves before the body does. This is why the placement of a painting near the entrance matters so much. Another important issue is the number of artworks visible from the entrance. You don't necessarily want the visitor to see everything immediately. If they can see the entire exhibition from the doorway, there may be less incentive to explore. But if they see only a glimpse, curiosity can take over. A partially hidden painting can be more interesting than one that is completely visible. The visitor wonders. What is around that corner? What is in the next room? What is that large painting I can only see from the side? Good exhibition design can use curiosity. You don't have to reveal everything at once. This is especially useful for group exhibitions. Suppose you have 20 artists. If every artwork is visible from the entrance, the visitor may feel overwhelmed. Instead, you can create sections. The entrance introduces the theme. The first room develops it. The second room changes the mood. The final room provides a conclusion. Now the exhibition becomes a journey. This can also help individual artists. If one artist has a particularly strong body of work, you might introduce their work early. But perhaps you don't show everything immediately. Give visitors a taste. Let them discover more as they move through the exhibition. This is much more interesting than simply putting all of the artist's paintings together in the first room. There is another question that artists sometimes forget. Where do people naturally stop? The entrance area can become crowded very quickly. If the first painting is placed directly beside the doorway, visitors may stop there. Then everyone behind them has to squeeze around. This creates a traffic problem. A beautiful painting can actually become an obstacle. So the entrance needs enough physical space. People need to enter. They need to orient themselves. They need to stop. They need to move. They need to step backward. And they need to look without feeling that they are blocking everyone else. This becomes particularly important during an opening reception. A quiet gallery during the afternoon may have only a few visitors. But during an opening, dozens of people may arrive at the same time. The entrance suddenly becomes a social space. People greet each other. They talk. They take photographs. They look for friends. They may be holding drinks or food. The artwork closest to the entrance needs to survive this activity. Sometimes the best artwork for the entrance isn't the most delicate one. It may be something visually strong enough to attract attention without requiring visitors to stand directly in front of it. And if you are selling art, the entrance can also influence buying behavior. The visitor is forming an impression of the exhibition before they have seen the price list. They are deciding whether the exhibition feels professional. They are deciding whether the artist or artists appear serious. They are deciding whether they want to stay. This is why presentation matters. A poorly arranged entrance can make an excellent exhibition feel unorganized. A thoughtful entrance can immediately create confidence. And remember something very important. The entrance doesn't have to be spectacular. It has to be intentional. Sometimes a quiet entrance is more effective than a dramatic one. Perhaps the visitor sees one beautiful painting. A simple title. A clean wall. A little space. And then the exhibition opens up before them. The visitor feels, I want to see what is inside. That is enough. So before your next exhibition opens, don't wait until the paintings are already installed to think about the entrance. Stand outside the gallery. Open the door. Walk in slowly. Look at what your visitor will see. Don't think like the artist. Think like someone who knows nothing about the exhibition. What catches your eye? What confuses you? What makes you curious? Where do you want to walk? Where do you naturally stop? And what makes you want to see more? Because the exhibition begins before the visitor sees the first painting up close. It begins at the door. The entrance is the invitation. The first artwork is the first conversation. And the path through the gallery is the story. If you design that beginning carefully, you don't have to force visitors to explore. You simply give them a reason to want to. And sometimes the best way to make people look at more art is to show them just enough to make them curious about what comes next. This is the gallery experience.